You know the feeling. It's dawn, the water is glass, every cast feels perfect, and the fish are hammering your lure. You think to yourself, this is it, today's the day. And then, the sun crests the trees, its light hits your spot, and within an hour, it's over. The bite dies completely. You've been told it's because the fish gets spooked by the light. But what if I told you that's only about 10% of the story? In this video, we're going to expose the real, scientific reason your honey hole turns into a dead zone right after sunrise. And I promise, what you're about to hear will change how you fish that morning transition forever. So, let me ask you this right now. What's your go-to excuse when the bite dies? Let me know in the comments, and let's see if it holds up. For decades, the accepted wisdom has been pretty simple. Bright sun, fish go deep. Or, the light makes them shy. We've all heard it from our dads, our grandpas, the old-timer at the bait shop. It's an easy explanation, and it makes a certain kind of sense. So we accept it. We either pack up and go home, or we start aimlessly casting into the abyss, hoping for a miracle. We get stuck in this pattern of thinking because, on the surface, the correlation is obvious. Sun comes up, bite goes down, but focusing only on the light itself is like blaming the siren for the fire. The siren isn't the problem, it's just the signal that something much bigger is happening. It's time to look past the old adages and understand the engine that's actually driving this daily event. Let's set the scene, one we've all lived through. You're out on the water before anyone else. The air is cool and there's a slight mist. You make your first cast towards a shallow point. Bam! A solid strike. You boat the fish, and for the next 45 minutes it's non-stop action. You feel like a pro, you've figured them out. Every cast is filled with anticipation because you know a bite is coming. This is the golden hour everyone talks about, and you are living it. Life is good, the cooler is getting some weight in it, and you're thinking about what a great day of fishing this is going to be. It's a perfect start, the kind we all dream about and the reason we wake up so early. Then it happens. The sun, which had been hiding behind the distant tree line, finally breaks free. Its rays slice across the water and illuminate your spot. At first, you don't notice a change. You're still in the rhythm, still casting with confidence. But then 5 minutes go by without a nibble, then 10, you switch. Lures, nothing. You change your retrieve speed, still nothing. An hour after that sun first hit the water, your spot is a ghost town. The magical bite has completely vanished, as if a switch was flipped. You're left standing there, looking at the same water, wondering what in the world just happened. It's frustrating and confusing. Now let's tackle the biggest myth head-on. The common belief is that the bright light simply scares the fish. They see the line better, they see you better, and they get spooky. While there is a sliver of truth to this, especially in very clear water, it is not the main driver. Think about it. Fish live in this environment every single day. They are perfectly adapted to changing light conditions. They don't just shut down and stop feeding for hours on end simply because it got brighter. If that were true, nobody would ever catch a fish midday. The real story is far more complex and has everything to do with what you cannot see beneath the surface. The light itself isn't the cause, it's the trigger. The first and most powerful reason the bite dies is due to a massive invisible migration. It all starts at the very bottom of the food chain with something called zooplankton. These are tiny, microscopic creatures that are a primary food source for baitfish and other small organisms. And there is one thing that zooplankton absolutely hate: direct, ultraviolet, or UV, light from the sun. To them, it's dangerous, so as soon as that direct sunlight penetrates the water column, they begin a daily migration, moving downward into deeper, darker water to protect themselves. They are running for their lives, and this sets off an incredible chain reaction.
Imagine you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet. That's what the shallows are for baitfish at dawn. The zooplankton are everywhere, but suddenly the staff starts moving all the food from the main dining room down into the basement. What would you do? You would follow the food. This is exactly what the minnows, shiners, and shad do. They are not going to hang around in an empty dining room. Their entire existence is centered around finding food, so they follow the zooplankton down, away from the surface and away from the shallows. They are simply chasing their next meal, which is now located in a completely different part of the water. And what do you think the predator fish, like bass, walleye or trout, are going to do? Their behavior is also dictated by their food source. They were hanging out in the shallows because that's where the baitfish buffet was. But now the buffet has moved. The steady stream of minnows and shad that was parading by their ambush points is gone. They won't stick around waiting for food that is no longer there. Just like the baitfish followed the zooplankton, the predator fish will follow the baitfish. They will suspend over deeper water or move to deeper structure, repositioning themselves to intercept their prey in its new location. Your shallow spot is now empty. So, when you are still casting to that same shallow point where you were catching them an hour ago, you are essentially fishing in a ghost town. The entire community has moved out. It looks like the same spot. It feels like the same spot, but from a fish's perspective, it's a barren wasteland. The party is over. The reason your lure isn't getting hit is simple. There are very few fish there to see it. It's not that they became smarter or spookier in the last hour. It's that they physically left the area to follow their food. It's a fundamental shift in the entire aquatic ecosystem, and it happens every single sunny day. Let's move on to the second major factor, and it's something we rarely think about: oxygen. Fish, like us, need oxygen to be comfortable and active. Throughout the night, in a body of water with a lot of plant life, oxygen levels can actually drop in the shallows as plants respire, consuming oxygen. But when the sun comes up, something amazing happens. Photosynthesis kicks into high gear. Aquatic plants, like weeds and algae, start pumping out oxygen. This creates specific zones, often around weed beds, that are suddenly rich with fresh oxygen. It's like turning on the air conditioning on a hot day. Fish are creatures of comfort. They will actively seek out areas with the most stable and comfortable conditions. When those weed beds start producing a ton of oxygen, they become prime real estate. A fish that was holding on a barren, rocky point might now find the edge of a nearby weed line much more appealing. The water there literally feels better to them. It's easier for them to breathe, and they feel more energetic. So, while you're focused on the structure, the fish might have just shifted 50 yards over to the weeds because it's a more comfortable place to hang out. It's not just about food, it's also about finding the best environment. Think of it from a human perspective, like you're in a big room and it's a bit stuffy. Then someone opens a window on the other side of the room and a fresh, cool breeze starts coming in. You're naturally going to drift over to that window. Fish do the same thing. They are constantly making small adjustments to their location based on factors like water temperature and oxygen content. The arrival of the sun is a massive trigger that changes the location of these comfort zones. The once stagnant weed bed is now the most desirable neighborhood on the block, and the fish are moving in. Now we have two powerful forces at play. The food is moving deeper, and the comfort zones are shifting towards areas with active photosynthesis. This often happens at the same time. The baitfish might move to the outside edge of a deep weed line, where they can find both cover and access to the sinking zooplankton. And the predator fish will be right there with them, enjoying the high oxygen levels while waiting for a meal. This explains why flipping the edges of weed beds can be so effective in the late morning.
You are targeting a location that now satisfies both a fish's need for food and its need for comfort. There is a third, and equally important piece to this puzzle, the predator's advantage. Most of the fish we love to catch are ambush predators. They rely on the element of surprise. In the low light of dawn, they are practically invisible. They can use shadows and the dim light to their advantage, making it easy to stalk and attack unsuspecting baitfish. Their world is one of shadows and silhouettes. That first hour of the day is their prime hunting time because the playing field is tilted heavily in their favor. The baitfish literally don't see them coming until it's too late. But when the sun gets high and the water becomes brightly lit, that advantage is gone. It's like turning on all the lights in a dark room during a game of hide and seek. The ambush predator is now exposed. They are more visible to their prey, and they are also more visible to bigger predators that might be hunting them, like birds of prey or even larger fish. Their tactics must change. They can no longer rely on the cloak of darkness to hunt effectively in open water. Staying in that brightly lit, shallow area is now a tactical disadvantage for them. So what does a predator do when it loses its primary advantage? It changes the battlefield. Instead of leaving the area completely, it will often just relocate to the nearest available cover. This could be a boat dock, a submerged log, a thick patch of lily pads, or the shade line created by a steep bluff. By moving into cover, the fish regains its ambush advantage. It can now hide in the shadows and wait for prey to swim by. It has recreated the low light conditions it needs to be an effective hunter. The fish is still in the general area, but its specific location has shifted from an open water feeding zone to a structure-oriented ambush point. This is a crucial detail for anglers. When the bite on that open point dies, the fish might only be 20 feet away, tucked up under the nearest dock. You are casting into the empty space where they used to be, while the fish are sitting in the shade watching your boat. The key is to stop thinking about the spot and start thinking about the cover. Your strategy needs to transition from covering open water with moving baits to picking apart specific pieces of structure with more precise presentations. You have to follow the fish to their new hiding spots. Let's recap these three factors working together. 1. The entire food chain has moved deeper to escape the sun. 2. The most comfortable, oxygen-rich water is now concentrated around areas with active plant life. 3. The predator fish have lost their low light advantage and have moved to the thickest available cover to compensate. When you put all three of these together, you get a perfect explanation for why your shallow, open water spot that was so hot at dawn is now completely dead by 9 in the morning. It's a trifecta of environmental changes that completely rearranges the underwater world. This isn't just a theory. You can see it in action if you pay attention. Notice how, on a sunny day, you'll start to see more surface activity or baitfish flickers on the shady side of the lake later in the morning. Pay attention to how the most successful midday anglers are often the ones fishing heavy cover, like thick mats or deep docks, while everyone else is still casting out in the open. They have instinctively or knowingly adapted to this daily shift. They aren't fishing memories, they are fishing the conditions as they are right now. So how do you use this information to catch more fish? You adapt with them. As the sun gets higher, start transitioning your focus. If you were fishing a shallow point, start looking for the first deep water drop-off near that point. That's likely where the baitfish and predators have moved to. Identify the thickest, darkest cover in the area, a big lay-down tree, a cluster of dock pilings, a thick mat of vegetation, and start focusing your efforts there. Your mindset needs to shift from finding feeding fish to drawing reaction strikes from fish in cover. This also means your lure choice should probably change. The top water plug that was so effective at dawn is likely useless now. It's time to switch to lures that can penetrate cover, like a jig or a Texas-rigged soft plastic. Or if you're targeting fish that have moved deep, you'll need to switch to a deep-diving crankbait or a drop-shot rig to get your bait down into their new feeding zone. You have to meet the fish where they are, on their terms. Fighting the daily migration is a losing battle. The smart angler flows with it. The next time you're out there and that magic morning bite suddenly dies, don't just write it off as the sun spooked them. And definitely don't pack it in and go home. Instead, take a moment and think like a fish. Ask yourself, where did the food go? Where is the most comfortable water now? Where is the best cover for an ambush? If you start answering those 3 questions, you won't be wondering where the fish went. You'll be on your way to finding them, and you'll likely have the water all to yourself while everyone else is back at the boat ramp, blaming the sun. So let's put it all together. The bite doesn't just stop because the sun is bright. It stops because the sun triggers a massive, invisible migration. The entire food chain, starting with the microscopic zooplankton, dives deep to escape the UV rays. The bait fish follow them, and the predators, your target fish, are right behind. At the same time, the sun kickstarts photosynthesis in the weed beds, creating new, comfortable, oxygen-rich zones that draw fish in. And finally, the bright light robs ambush predators of their greatest weapon, the element of surprise. They retreat to cover and structure to regain their advantage. The big takeaway, the aha moment, is this: the fish didn't stop eating, they just moved to a different restaurant. Your job is no longer to wait for them to come back, it's to figure out where they went. This single shift in understanding can turn a dead morning into a productive day. Thank you so much for watching. If this blew your mind a little, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for more content that breaks down the why behind fishing. Now for the big question. Knowing this, what's the first change you'll make to your strategy when the sun comes up? Drop your new game plan in the comments below.